in Rosebank on Staten Island, just outside an abandoned Oscorp factory. The Spiderbot Patrol Unit number 2557 scans the area. It scans the paintings of the Green Goblin, and then the Goblin Protocol goes into effect, and the Spiderbot disengages, reporting that there is no activity to be seen. But within the old factory, the Goblin King's grenades detonate one after the other. He cackles madly as he soars around on his goblin glider. The Goblin King brought the entirety of the Goblin Underground with him. Street thugs, punks, the Vulture Children, Hand Ninjas, the Owl's Men, and the other various villains the king has enlisted in his return. The Hobgoblin's army of legacy villains protect him with their lives. And he swears to pay $50,000 to whoever kills the most of the king's men. And a free franchise for life to anyone who helps him kill Phil Urich, the traitor. The Goblin King's laughter begins to fade as he takes in his surroundings.
"Stop!"
he cries out.
"The joke's over. This battle has gone on long enough. Everyone, cease fire!"
"What the hell is this, Goblin?" the Hobgoblin asks. "A timeout? You started this, impersonating me, egging me on. You declared this war. You can't just call a truce. This is..." The Goblin King finishes his sentence.
"Pointless, Kingsley, and costly."
The Hobgoblin doesn't respond.
"Ah, now I'm speaking your language. Look around. All we're doing is picking off each other's men. It's a waste."
The Hobgoblin tries to distance himself from the king. "There's always more where they came from."
"True, but finding fresh meat, testing them, training them, all takes precious time, Kingsley. And right now, every goblin needs an army, and for good reason."
The Goblin King leans in with an insidious grin. "Which is?" the Hobgoblin asks impatiently.
"The spider has one."
Elsewhere, at the New York harbor, Spider-Man is leading his spiderlings in a battle against AIM. "Whatever it takes," he orders them. "These weapons will not fall into enemy hands." Even the great scientists at AIM have to wonder aloud how Spider-Man knew of their shipment. Their whole tanker was stealth shielded. "Imbecile, I have eyes everywhere. Nothing in this city escapes my sight." At that moment, the Avengers arrive. "Spider-Man," Captain America calls out, demanding the wall crawler's attention. "We'd like to have a word with you." "What?" Spider-Man, unfazed, turns around. "Oh, it's you. Not now, I'm busy." Captain America expected as much. "All right then. Avengers, disassemble." At the captain's call, all the Avengers, Iron Man, Wolverine, Black Widow, Thor, and Spider-Woman jump into the fray, dispatching AIM scientist and Spiderling alike. And while Thor dismantles the Arachnaut with much satisfaction, Spider-Man just stands by and watches. The smell of smoke from the Arachnaut fills the air. It takes no time at all for the dock to be covered by the unconscious bodies of ill-prepared and underpowered foot soldiers. The captain stomps towards Spider-Man, looks him straight in the eye, and tells him, "This is Avengers business. We're doing it now." "Very well, Captain. And this is pertaining to what exactly?" "Your probation is over." And now, within the mindscape, the shadow of Peter Parker's memory stares into a vast openness. He sees scattered memories so distant from one another they can't be connected. Peter thinks to himself, he doesn't know much, but what he does know is that he's Peter Parker, and he's not dead. But he might as well be. He fought so hard to get back here, and for what? Just look what Otto has done to him. There's barely any of him left. Otto dumped close to all Peter's memories. Everything except the ones he shared with Otto, and a few that Otto peeked and committed to his own memory. Like Aunt May's wheat cakes. Or that a spider bit him. But why is it burning him so much? And why is it glowing that way? It takes some time, but Peter remembers once again. He is Peter Parker, and he's Spider-Man. Or maybe not. At the moment, he's just fragments, the little pieces that got left behind. An overflow of emotion hits Peter and it brings him to his knees. "What am I supposed to do?" he asks out to anyone who will listen. I couldn't beat Ock at full strength. What chance do I have now?" Back at the Oscorp factory, the Hobgoblin and the Goblin King continue to fly through the air with their goblin gliders. They circle each other like birds of prey, fighting over the carcass and scraps of the underworld. The Hobgoblin grunts. "All right, you have your truce. Now what?"
What indeed? Eerie, isn't it? The din of war suddenly stopping, followed by a profound hush. All quiet on the Western Front.
The king roars out in laughter. No one joins him.
Ever read it?
He asks. What?
It's a book, Kingsley, with covers, pages, and everything. My favorite part. A soldier wonders why a war can't be like a bullfight. Except, he says, in the arena, the ministers and the generals of the two countries, dressed in bathing drawers and armed with clubs, can have it out amongst themselves. Whoever survives, his country wins.
So, is that it? The Hobgoblin huffs. You and me. Winner takes all. Fine. Let's do this. For real. The Hobgoblin reaches into his satchel and pulls out a pumpkin bomb and flings it at the Goblin King. The king reaches into his own bag and pulls out his own flaming pumpkin.
Like an imitation like you would know from real. You're nothing but a bad copy, Kingsley. Or a copy of a copy.
Shut up, Hobgoblin barks.
So, who are you this time? Flash Thompson? Ned Leeds? Mackendale? Or possibly the brother, Daniel Kingsley? No, wait. He doesn't have a head anymore.
The Goblin King punches the Hobgoblin across the face, and the Hobgoblin retaliates by pulling out a new, special pumpkin bomb. But then again, how do we know it's you under that mask? He hisses. Maybe you're that loser, Bart Hamilton. Or, yes, it is you, Osborne, but not Norman. You're the other one, the disappointment, Harry.
What? How dare you say that about my...
The Goblin King is thrown off guard by the Hobgoblin's words and does not see the bomb coming. It hits the king, point blank, and sends him crashing to the ground. Elsewhere, at Avengers Tower, Spider-Man stares out the window. Otto notices they replaced the glass. He remembers the view from the other side as Dr. Octopus pushed him through. For a moment, he thought he'd die. Ironically, inside Spider-Man's body. And while that day will come, hopefully, it won't be for a very long time. Sorry, are we boring you? Iron Man asks, snapping Otto back to reality. What? With all the charges we're raising for drumming you out of the Avengers. No, please continue. You have my well-deserved attention. Iron Man brings up a projection. Since returning to Earth, I've gone through all the tower's security footage and found this evidence of you secretly deleting your medical scans. Otto explains that it was all in order to keep his secret identity safe. That is why Iron Man and Captain America fought the superhuman Civil War, was it not? So that he could have the right to such privacy? As it stands, 3 of the Avengers already know. And as far as he's concerned, that's 3 too many. Black Widow reasons that this isn't out of the blue. Spider-Man has been acting strange for a while now. Spider-Woman adds that Spider-Man's last excuse about the symbiote isn't exactly lining up either. Wolverine tells everyone that at the word, he can have a number of psychics checking out this problem for them. Otto goes on the defensive. So, that's all it takes. Someone acts strange, and it gives you the right to pry into their mind. I've acted strange in the past, been wanted for murder, treason, all kinds of lawlessness. So, what's so special about this time? Why now? Iron Man leans from around the hologram. Because now you're an Avenger. Maybe I should take a look at these scans. Maybe I can spot something the others missed. Good luck, Stark. Those files are gone. I made certain. In the mindscape, Peter thinks to himself that he cannot just sit back and do nothing. He is Peter Parker. He is Spider-Man. And if he knows anything, it's that anyone can win a fight when the odds are easy. It's when the going's tough, when there seems to be no chance. That's when it counts. Otto Octavius made a mistake. The memories he left are the key ones, the moments that define Peter. Otto hasn't wiped him out. He's burned Peter in a crucible, distilled him to his core. And Peter knows now, more than anything, he is the man who never gives up. That's who he is. And he will find a way to win. Back in the factory, the Goblin King grits his teeth and hammers his fist on the ground before pushing himself to his feet. Small chinks of his armor fall to the floor.
This isn't over,
He scowls.
Far from it. Nothing keeps me down, Kingsley. Not death, betrayal, even the entire world against me. Every time I rise back up, stronger than before. Every time.
The Goblin King rips off his partly torn armor, revealing a large indent in his chest plate. That scar, where the glider, it is you, Osborn. The Hobgoblin hesitates. Then, when he snaps back to reality, the Hobgoblin digs into his satchel and launches one pumpkin bomb after another at his enemy. The Goblin King dodges every one.
Sorry, what was that?
The king asks.
Couldn't quite hear you.
Stay away from me. The Hobgoblin backpedals, once again attempting to distance himself. The Mad King roars out in a fit of laughter.
Say it again! Say it! Say my name!
The Goblin King rears back and punches the Hobgoblin with a powerful lunging strike. Osborn, wait, The Goblin King interrupts the Hobgoblin with an elbow to the jaw.
Yes! The one true Goblin! The Goblin King!
The king then follows up with an uppercut to the stomach and a backhand strong enough to send the Hobgoblin flying backwards. The Hobgoblin attempts to stand back on his feet, but the king rushes him and punches him back down to the ground.
And I decree that you, pretender to the throne, must die by my hand around your worthless neck.
In a desperate bid for protection, the Hobgoblin digs back into his satchel and pulls out one of his projectile razor bats and stabs it into the king's ribcage. The king is unfazed. He is already drunk off adrenaline. Instead, the king just cackles wildly as he wraps his fingers around the hobgoblin's throat and squeezes the life out of him. Once the hobgoblin's body hits the floor, an uproar of praise fills the air. They chant and cheer, calling out his name. Osborn, their one and only Goblin King. Back at the Avengers Tower, Spider-Man has had enough. Stop right there. You think you have the right to meddle in my affairs because I'm an Avenger? Fine. The solution here is simple. I quit. Spider-Man turns around and jumps out of the window, shattering the glass, and leaves the shards to fall to the ground oh so many stories below. The Avengers stand there and watch as he swings away. Earth's mightiest heroes, he huffs. Well, no more, because without me, you're nothing. I don't need you. I don't need anyone. In the factory, the Goblin King creates smoke circles in the air as he howls to the moon. He looks down at his people, and it brings him even more joy.
Look at us! All together! Stronger than ever! One big happy! Come, old friends and new! Back to the underground for the lot of you! So much to plan! So much to do!
The Goblin Knight is the last to leave the building. Be right with you. Gotta check on something first. 'Cause I've been here before. Same place, same guy. Hell, I even chopped off his head. And if that taught me anything, it's that you always gotta poke under the hood to make sure. The Goblin Knight removes the Hobgoblin's mask. And, honestly, he's not surprised at what he sees. It's not the right guy. He decides he has to destroy the body. No one can know, or the king will lose his claim to all Kingsley's men. But where is he? The knight wonders. Where is the real Hobgoblin? Elsewhere, from a safe house within Paris, France, Roderick Kingsley grunts. I may have to leave you in for 5 more minutes, he says to a man strapped in a chair, unwillingly staring into a screen. I am Roderick Kingsley, says the man. The one and only Hobgoblin. I am Roderick Kingsley, the one and only Hobgoblin. Yes, Kingsley agrees before finishing his statement. Then, on to phase 2 of the Winkler process. Memories of combat training. Then, we'll work on the voice. Have to get the voice right. I'm going to miss Claude. Fantastic manservant. He made a terrible hobgoblin, but the best bouillabaisse. But some sacrifices have to be made. Just not self-sacrifices. Ah well, time to lay low again. To plan, to scheme, to rise anew. He pours himself a drink and raises it into the air. Wave your victory today, Osborn. You earned it. To you, my old foe, and to goblins everywhere. What's up, everyone? It's Corey, and I just wanted to take this time to thank everyone for their support. The Superior Spider-Man as a whole is special to me because it's the first run that got me back into comics in the early 2010s. But it wasn't the only run. I can say though that it was the first run I read to completion. It helped me figure out how tie-ins work, crossovers, ancillary series, everything you basically need to know about comics. I learned from the Superior Spider-Man. So yeah, once again, thanks for watching, and we only have 2 more books to go.